Okay, welcome to our class today. Today we'll be discussing on the origin of Canadian English. And in our previous class, we have learned about the origin of American English. In this regard, today we will be discussing what is the origin of Canadian English. And whenever we talk about English language, there are some difference in pronunciation pattern. And the English-speaking countries in the world, Britain, America, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, they use English as the first language, as their first language. However, we see the pronunciation pattern of all these English languages is different. And the basic difference is between American English and British English. Apart from that, the Australian English is a bit different. But what about the Canadian English? And many claim that Canadian English is either British or American for accent. That means for pronunciation pattern. However, for the geographical location, Canadian and American English might same in pronunciation. As we see, the location of Canada is very close to America. We see the similarity between Canadian English and American English. And you see the map of Canada, and the very close to USA. Sorry. And for this region, we see the similarity. However, with Canadian English, we also see the similarity with British pronunciation pattern as well. So what is the origin? How Canadian English got the pronunciation pattern, either from British English or from American English. First English language contact with Canada that happened in 1497. And at that time, there is a person, his name is John Cabot. He is an Italian navigator, John Cabot, an explorer. His 1497 voyage to the coast of North America under the commission of Henry VII of England is the earliest known European exploration of coastal North America since the Norse visit Vinland in the 11th century. This explorer or navigator, John Cabot, came in Canada in 1497. We know that Columbus discovered America in 1492. And after that, in 1497, John Cabot went over there in Canadian continent. And in this regard, they got the first acquaintance. That means the Canadian people got the first acquaintance with English language. English migration in Canada developed actually a century later when the farming, fishing, and fur trading industries attracted English-speaking settlers. After 1497, after 100 years, actually the British English-speaking people were attracted by the by the cause of farming, fishing, and fur trading in Canada. However, not only the Canadian people came over there, also French people went in Canada. And we know that in Canada, many provinces, they use French as their first language. Just for an example, the Quebec, in this province, Canadian province, French is used as the first language. And some other province, especially they use French language. Why? Because there was another navigator, and his name is Jack Cartier, arrives in Canada in 1520 decades. And French surrendered during the 18th century following their defeat in Queen Anne's War that was happened in 1907 to 1713. And the French and the Indian War. So not only the English-speaking European settlers, that means the British people went to Canada, Jack Cartier also went to Canada. And for this reason, we see the that in many provinces of Canada, they use French as their first language. Our concern is that what is the origin of Canadian English language? He is Jack Cartier, actually. And Jack Cartier is the French Breton maritime explorer for France. And Jack Cartier was the first European to describe and the map of Gulf of St. Lawrence and the shores of the St. Lawrence River and his exploration of the river and the Atlantic coast of Canada on 3 expeditions done by Jack Cartier that was happened from 1534 to 1542 and laid the basis for later French claim to North America. Actually, Jack Cartier went in Canada from France, and the name Canada actually is credited to Jack Cartier. Cartier is also credited with the naming Canada. That is also important information. That means not only the English-speaking people went to Canada, Jack Cartier, a French navigator, went to Canada, and he claimed that he established the map of going from Europe to uh, American continents, especially in Canada. And according to the name of Cartier, the name of the country Canada is um, um, named. Canada is named after the name of Jack Cartier. So, and especially we had been talking about the Queen Anne War that was happened in Canada between the Great Britain and the France in North America for the control of the continent. This war that was happened in 1702 to 1713. And in this war, it was contemporaneous with the war of the Spanish succession in Europe. And English settlements were subject to brutal raids by French forces and their Indian allies. In North America, in Queens were actually the English settler who had been living in America, North America. They were brutally attacked by French forces and also their allied force, that means the Indian allies. Indian people and the French people, they allied together and they fought against the North America, against the European settlers and American settlers, especially for the um, uh, people who went from Britain over there. And in that, there was another war, the French and the Indian War, pitted the colonies of the British America against those of New France, and each side supported by military units from the parent country and by American Indian alliance. At the start of the war, the French colonies had a population of roughly 60,000 settlers, compared with the 2 million in the British colonies. And the outnumbered French particularly dependent on the Indians. So in 1702 to 1713, there was a war between Britain and France and Indian allies. And in 1754 to 1763, there was another war between France and the between the French colonies and the settlers over there. And at that time, the French colonies had a population of nearly 60,000. However, the British people were 2 million in number at that time. So for these two wars, in 1750 decades, thousands of French settlers deported from Arcadia, then means the Nova Scotia, replaced by the settlers from New England. And the number increased by many coming directly from England, Ireland, Scotland, and whose earlier interest in the country is reflected the name Nova Scotia. That means the New Scotland. And when there in this war, that means the French and the Indian war, and this Queen Anne war, many people, they left America, North America, and went to Canada. And not only that, many people, and at that time, the people, British people were 2 million in number in America, and many of them went to Canada. And apart from that, many directly from England, Ireland, and Scotland went to Canada. So in this regard, the Canadian province Nova Scotia is named, that means the New Scotland. Many people from Scotland went to Canada. In this way, they got the contact of English language. As you see in the map, that means the people of Europe came in this way, and they got their place in Newfoundland. That means John Cabot first came in this area, and then Arcadia, then Nova Scotia, then the New England. In this area, these were covered by the people, British people, and the people from Ireland, Scotland as well. And another incident happened in that is 1976 for the declaration of independence of America. And in that war, when America declared independence from Britain, there were two groups. One group supported Britain, and they are called loyalists, supporters of Britain, the United Empire loyalists, and found themselves unable to stay in the United States. And also most left for Canada and settling first in what is now Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia that we have seen over here, that means here, Nova Scotia. Okay. So at the time of American independence, what happened, that especially two groups were there. One group is called loyalists, that means who supported British government, and another group was called patriotist, and they support American population. And when America got independence, the people who supported British Empire, they were not able to stay in America. They left America and went to Canada, especially in this province, that is the Nova Scotia. They were soon followed by many thousands, the so-called late loyalists. Some other loyalists also followed the people who left America and went to Canada, who were attracted by the cheapness of land, especially in the area known as Upper Canada, above Montreal and north of the Great Lakes. So this is another incident, and other incident that especially this is the Upper Canada, as you see in the map, Ontario, Lower Canada, that is Quebec, Manitoba, this place. And the land price of this area is very cheap. So one reason that the loyalists couldn't stay in America, because they supported British government. So they left America and went to the neighboring country, Canada. Another reason is that the land of this area is very cheap. And for this reason, many other loyalists also left America and went to Canada and started living in this area that means called Upper Canada. And within 50 years, the population of this province had reached 1 lakh, and over 31 million were estimated in 2001. That means in Nova Scotia, the people was increased, and many of them came from America, and they are the loyalists. That means at the time of the British American Civil War, American Declaration of Independence, they supported British government. And with 2/3 claiming English as a native or home language. So in this regard, we can say that the, uh, the people who live in Nova Scotia, most of them are from America, and they are the people of Britain. They were living in America, and they left America and went to Canada. These are the loyalists and Kingsmen. They are often called the royalist or the Kingsmen at the time, and they are opposed by the patriots. That means the British people living in America, they supported American independence, and they are called patriotists, and who supported the revolution and called them person inimical to the liberties of America. And the royalist or the loyalist are the enemy of America. However, the patriots, that means the British people who have been living in America and they supported American independence, they are called patriotists. And these are the Caribbean island where English is used as the first language, standard official language in this area. Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Honduras, in this area, English is used as the first language. And for coming people from America, there was a language developed in Canada that is also called Creole language. And we know that the Creole language is the mixture of different languages just for communication. And however, Pidgin, we know that the simplified form of that develops as a means of communication. And between two or more groups, a Creole language is a complete language used in a community and acquired by children as their native language. Pidgin is a fragmented form of language. However, Creole is a complete language, and the next generation, they study this language as their first language. So in this area, also there was a tendency of using these languages, that means several fragmented form of languages as a means of communication. And Pidgin is also that. So the Caribbean islands showing countries where standard English as an official language. In these areas, English-based Creole are also widely used. So we have learned that Creole is a complete language, we can also call. So the language used in these Caribbean islands, that means we have seen earlier, that is in these Caribbean islands, they use English-based Creole. And countries where a language other than English is the official language, but an English-based Creole is nonetheless the spoken. The special standing of US English is Puerto Rico is noted separately. That means in Puerto Rico, here, you see the Puerto Rico, they use that American-based Creole, US-based English Creole. So because of the origin, Canadian English, common with the rest of the English spoken in North America, who live outside Canada often find it difficult to hear the difference. Actually, if we study the origin of Canadian English, many of them came from North America, For this reason, we see the pronunciation pattern of Canadian English is very much similar to the spoken English used in North America. And many British people identify a Canadian accent as American. However, many British people, they see that actually this English is not the British standard English. This is the American English. Many Americans alternatively identify Canadian English, that is, it is very much similar to the British English. There is a contradiction in using. But what is the thinking of Canadian people? Canadians themselves insist on not being identified with their group, and certainly their variety does display a number of unique features. Okay. So Canadian, they insist that their English is not similar with either British or in American English. They say that Canadian English has a unique pattern of pronunciation. That is the claim of Canadian people. In addition, the presence of French as a co-official language, in case of Canada, we see official language is English, as well as we see French as a co-official language, chiefly spoken in Quebec, produces a socio-linguistic situation not found in other English-speaking countries. So French is used as the co-official language in Canada. So if I want to conclude that in case of pronunciation pattern, we see the similarity of Canadian English with British English, and we also see the similarity of Canadian English with American English. Why? Because we have understood that in 1497, the Italian navigator John Cabot went in America for the sake of the British King Henry VIII, and he started living there. And not only that, the other people, that is the Jack Cartier, he also went in Canada and started to live over there, and he made several voyages towards American continent, and the name Canada is acclaimed to name after the name of Cartier. But for the cause of Queen Anne ware, and also for the cause of the French and the Indian ware, many people of living in America, they left Canada and went to Canada. And apart from that, another situation, that is the American War of Independence. At the time of American War of Independence, loyalists, the people who supported British government, they are called loyalists, and other group, they supported American independence, they are called patriotists. So when America got independence, it was impossible to for the loyalists to live in America. They left America and went to Canada. And there is another reason, the land of Canada is very cheap. And for this reason, many other British people left America and went to Canada. In this way, the British people who were living in America, they left America and went to Canada. And for this reason, we see a similarity of pronunciation of Canadian English between Canadian English and the American English, and also with the similarity of British standard English. However, British people, they claim that the Canadian English is very much similar to American English, but American people, they claim that Canadian English is very much similar to British English. But the people of Canada, they say that their English is unique. It is not similar with American English and not similar with the British English. So this is the origin of Canadian English. And thank you all. We will be Uh,